we were just all chatty today, so it's nice to have everyone. Good afternoon. I call to order the City of Traverse Council Committee meeting for Monday, May 8th. We'll get started with our Public Works Committee. Chair Chris.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I'd like to introduce our committee members. Council members Lisa Lane and Sherry Mara. Is there a motion to approve the April 10th Public Works minutes?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. So we'll review the report. Director Tate, is there anything that you'd like to point out?
One thing I would like to bring to the council's attention, we did receive NRE Career Center Community Partner of the Year Award. I accepted that back in April, I guess. Our work-based learning partnership with them, was able to do that. We also had a couple of volunteers come in from Grace Church back in April. There is a summary of the cost savings report in there from Greenville County. I think that saved us around $6,000 or $7,000 for what they was able to do on that day. They done some painting, some litter pickup along Main Street, and painted some benches and some other things along the way, put out some mulch for us. So.
That's awesome. Wonderful news.
Also, I would like to pass this along as well. I spoke with Sodfather, which is our contractor for our landscaping on Main Street, and they are going to pull those flowers out this week, and they'll be replanting some summer flowers in a couple of weeks.
Oh, good.
Okay, thank you so much. Anything else that y'all have questions or comments about?
I was going to just do a follow-up about landscape and flowers. So you are on it. Yes, thank you.
I was just curious with like the recycling, is there a chance, since we are doing away with it, if like maybe Evergreen could have a tent at the farmer's market or something that we could consider maybe, or having a place for people to do sign-ups for recycling in the city?
Good idea.
I think that's probably a possibility. We could reach out to Evergreen and maybe make the scheduling, get with the farmer's market and their scheduling, and have them over there for that.
Okay, and the other thing is, like Suterra does recycle bins, the in-ground ones, they have it behind Starbucks. Is that something that maybe for cardboard that the city could have, since they're not picking up recycling, or what are we doing with the city recycling?
The
For the city.
That we collect now, we're putting those in the bins. We have recycle bins at the park, the roll carts, and Greater Greenville is picking those up. Depending on how things shake down or transpire with later on with the recycling, we may be transporting those to one of the local convenience centers to do that if they're not contaminated. That's the issue that you run into, when you put those recycle containers out, then the contamination, then you're back to, it comes back to regular trash then.
That's what I was thinking too, if we did the recycle, like Suterra, but that might be an option or something for subdivisions and things like that, so that was it.
With Trailblazer Park, is that going to be the city's park, the playground, and that's going to be the city, so we'll be in charge of the maintenance of it?
That's currently still in discussions, where the county is interested in the city's expressed an interest in, looking at transitioning Gateway and that portion of Trailblazer over to city for ownership and maintenance. But there's not been any agreement presented to the city from the county, and there's not been any review. That'll be something that we anticipate could move forward in after July 1st. But we would need to bring forward that agreement to City Council for y'all to review and approve of what that looks like.
Okay. And when would be the appropriate time to talk about the shade? I know we were talking about proposals and how some people were thinking we could put more shade for the playground.
Great. Based on the email that came forward, I went ahead and budgeted in the budget that'll be put forward next week to the Ways and Means Committee, $105,000 for additional shades, 2 additional shade structures, and the needed infrastructure, the concrete pads, and additional benches and, picnic tables that would go under those shades. So we would have a total of 3 if we were to add those 2 more.
Thank you so much. I know that's going to even make it even better, and people wondering about it.
Will there be trees around there as well? I know people were asking about that
We're
as well.
getting quotes on trees right now, and I've done a concept plan for trees that would kind of outline the, kind of the perimeter of the playground area. So we're thinking around maybe 10 large trees that would be canopy trees. And we've also talked to some members of the community that have made donations, and they're very interested potentially in sponsoring a tree. So we feel like if we went ahead and just budgeted enough for the landscaping, which fortunately now we have a tree mitigation fund. So the tree mitigation fund will be a new piece of the budget that y'all get to see this year for the first time. And that money that we raise in that tree mitigation fund can be spent to add that landscaping in. So that's what we hope to do.
Eric, just going back to the parks being transferred to us, is there a cost that we're going to have to pay for that? Or are they just going to say, in name, it's now yours?
Well, it's going to be a negotiation, and so we would review the agreement, determine as a group if we're acceptable with the terms of that agreement, and then go back to the county with any requests that we may have. There won't be really necessarily any cost to the city. However, there may be a request for us to request the county to give us some funding to help us with long-term maintenance and operations.
Okay.
Any comments or questions from council?
Yeah, Philip, this is just a random question, but I got from a resident. For Sodfather, do we know what type of pesticides that they use? Or maybe we could just ask them, because I think there was just concerns about the green piece to it. Were they using, things that were harmful to?
We do, and
Okay.
I have that on file, and I'll update
Great,
that,
great.
and I'll send that out to y'all.
Thank you, thank you.
Should there not be there used to be MSDS, but a SDS sheet on that?
Yes, sir.
There is?
I think it was
If
mostly
we
like
have,
around.
if we have it on site,
Yeah,
if we
okay.
have the
Okay,
contents on site.
great. I think the
Yeah, I will
concern was
look,
about
I'll look
bees
and get the MSDS,
Yeah.
and I can tag that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
I got a couple of questions real quick, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Phil, did I understand, like the carts, the blue carts that you pick up, you're gonna propose that you use those as a recycle? Put them like at Trailblazer Park?
No,
And
sir,
use
we have
those?
some that, the city has some currently that we use for recycling in the building here and in the parks, and those will go away when at the
Okay,
end of
all right.
June as well.
So I had that backwards then. And the young man that's with David, what is his name?
Abe,
He
Abe
is
Evans.
Doing
a
a great
nice
job.
young man. I was gonna tell you that, and
Thank you.
relay that message to him.
I will, yes,
He
sir.
is a very pleasant, very nice
Yes,
young
sir.
man.
Thank you.
And also, since Coach just walked in the door, if y'all got the email that I piggybacked off of the one where Shanice was talking about the shade structure, if we had listened to this man right here when we had originally built Trailblazer Park, how much would we have saved, Harvey? When you tried to get us to do the shade originally and had to turn around the next year and do it, it was a lot of money. Yeah, so I stand by what I said in that email. If we're gonna do shade, let's do it first and do it right. Because it wound up, it cost the city probably $100,000, I guess. Yeah, and that's been 10 years ago. Yeah, so that's the shade I like. That's a great idea. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thanks.
And I'm sorry, you might have already said this, but Zen Rabbit Yoga, they had a litter cleanup as well. So this is just a local business that got their people together, which was really nice too, so,
And I forgot, that report is also in there, the cost savings. report.
great.
Yep.
Eric, did you need something?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, great,
I'm
sorry.
good.
All right, Public Safety Committee Chair Byers.
Call to order the Public Safety Committee meeting. Present are myself, Shanice Chris, Wayne McCall, and Brantley Vest. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes from April 10th?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Now we'll review the public safety reports for April with police first. Does anyone on the Public Safety Committee have questions for Chief about the public safety report, the police report? Anything you want to highlight?
I just want to mention on the charts on page 1 there, or the numbers were entered incorrectly. They don't match the graph above. The visual aids don't match the stats, just the wrong numbers were plugged in there. So we'll fix that for next month. But the numbers up in the chart there of total motor vehicle collisions, and so all those numbers are correct, just the graphs don't match.
And you're still thinking there's just more people coming through?
There are more people in the city. There's a lot of traffic enforcement we're doing, so it would, normally you enforce traffic a lot more and you see those decline, but not yet. So we're still hoping to see that turn.
Does anyone on council have questions for Chief about the police report?
I don't have a question, but I did email you or text you the other day thanking you for the coverage at the park. The officer that they have that I've learned now is the reserve officer was very proactive, talking to people, asking the people with dogs to leave in a nice way, and he was interacting with a lot of people, so it was nice to see.
Yes,
And on the trail too, I saw him on the trail on the bicycle, so he's everywhere, so he's.
yeah, I purchased him some bicycle uniforms because he loves to ride that bicycle a lot when he comes in. So.
And we have like, I think the other day it was over like 35,000 bikers in a couple months. It's crazy how many people we have in Travelers Rest since the counters are up. I mean, noticing them. So thank you guys for being out there.
Just with the motor vehicle crashes, are they from DUIs, speeding, just, I mean,
There would be a variety of things. I'd have to go back and pick them up individually, but I would say most of them are not DUIs.
Okay.
I would say speeding, aggressive driving is probably the top two. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, Chief, is there anything that you'd like to highlight from the fire department report?
No, ma'am. Everything's going good.
Okay. Anyone on the committee have questions for Chief? On council? Well, that was really easy, y'all. Thank you for your service. Okay, and then anything that you want to add about the building permit report or the municipal court report, Eric?
No additional information to share?
Okay,
than
does
what's in-
anyone on committee have questions for Eric? Anyone on council? Okay, wow. Next, moving to the mutual law enforcement aid agreement with Furman University. And just as some background, this is about the Vinings Apartments on Duncan Chapel. And Furman is looking to sell, so this is regarding our police aid agreement to that area. What else can we add, Eric?
That's a pretty good summary. We were notified back in, I believe it was late March, that Furman would be selling the Vinings apartment and no longer be used for student housing. They've moved all their students out of the housing, and they notified us that they were going to discontinue police protection. The campus police would no longer provide police protection to the Vinings as of May 7th. Chief Ford and I had met with Furman and discussed, and Mayor Amadon, and we were able to work out with their general counsel, and our city attorney worked out a agreement that they would continue to provide police protection services to the Vinings until such time that the property is actually sold. They have not sold it yet. They're in the process of that, but so we wanted to tie the turnover date to the sale date. And so this mutual aid agreement is what we worked out in order for them to continue to provide police protection and service to the Vinings Apartments until such time that it actually sells to a private owner. Hopefully this will buy us some additional time and not be such a quick turnover.
And further down on the agenda, we'll be voting on a first reading, correct?
That is correct. So it is a time-sensitive matter. We wanted to go ahead and get this agreement before you get it, approved by council. Furman's board will be considering it on May the 13th. And so there'll be a little period there in between this and there where Furman's board will have to vote on it on May 13th. And that's when it will go into effect.
So you all have a version of the aid agreement in your packet. Does anyone have questions about the agreement for Eric?
Will when they sell it, Well, that one little, for lack of better terms, that's sort of a donut hole. Will that go away? That will not be a part of the city when
It
it's
will-
sold?
It will be in the city limits, and we will be responsible for police protection at such time that it sells. Depending on who purchases the, and, you know, what type of business, if it's a for-profit or nonprofit business, will determine, you know, what type of revenue will be coming in to help support police protection at that point in time. But right now, they gave us an indication about a buyer, and it was potentially a nonprofit buyer, which obviously they would not be paying property taxes if it's a nonprofit. So we would need to kind of sit down and revisit if there was a fee-for-service type agreement that we could put in place at that point in time. But it will remain in the city. It's in the city currently, and just
Well,
to-
only because it's Furman property. It doesn't touch anywhere.
That's
Where?
just Furman property.
Across the street, there by, okay, behind the restaurant.
Yep.
Okay.
How many not-for-profit apartments are in the world?
I've never heard of one,
I
so I
haven't
was,
either. So I'm like,
so I was
I
very
feel like
surprised.
this is gonna be a tax revenue
Yeah,
for us,
I was
yeah.
a little bit concerned when I heard that, so we'll find out more details. If there's a charity involved, maybe, there could be a legitimate charitable purpose involved there,
Maybe.
but,
Okay.
we don't have any of those details at this point in time, nor confirmation of what buyer would buy it, but once we have that, we can sit down and discuss it as a committee and a council and just try to determine, you know, the best way to provide the best service that we can.
Would Homes of Hope be something that would be a nonprofit?
Yeah, there's like a church that has a nonprofit that's buying apartment complexes for affordable housing, so I'm hoping it's something, if it is a nonprofit buyer, I'm hoping it's something like that, but don't know. Any other questions or comments? Motion to adjourn, please.
Motion.
Second.
Move into Planning and Development Committee, Chair Vest.
All right, call to order the Planning and Development Committee meeting. Members present, myself, Brantley Vest, Kelly Byers, Dr. Shanice Chris, and Wayne McCall. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes from April 10.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Director Foreman, I see that we've added the trail counter as part of the Planning and Development report. It's a nice
Yes.
touch. I
Quite
like that.
excited to get that on here as well. And I'm not sure if y'all were able to see the full report or not, but we do have it pulled. Can you scroll down just a little bit and show the full report for the Swamp Rabbit Trail counter?
Nice.
Yeah, so we were able to pull some good numbers. It's only obviously been open for 2 full months now. So what we found is that it's pretty even distribution between bikes and walking.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. And we found that the days have swung anywhere from 2,400 at our highest number of users down to 54 for the lowest. And both were Saturdays, which was a little bit surprising. That Saturday 54 was the Saturday back in April that it just poured down rain all day and it was
Oh.
cold. So obviously
That makes
rain has a little bit of an effect on the trail use.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these are some neat numbers, and we'll keep these we'll obviously keep these updated on a monthly basis. And once we get a full year under our belts, we'll have some better trends as far as monthly trends, and we can compare March to March and April to April and whatnot. But for the time being, this gives us a real good idea of how the trail's being used, and we can even break it down hourly, actually quarter hours.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
we can break down, we can find out how many people use the trail on April 15th at 2:15 PM if we want.
Yeah.
I think it was 74. So, I mean, we have that ability to do that.
Yeah.
So, either way, just wanted to get that onto the planning report, just so we can have some more exciting things to talk about moving forward.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it may help us highlight event traffic and things like that. That's a cool piece of
Exactly. We hope to
information.
use it for economic development in that respect.
Yeah, very cool. Anything you wanted to highlight on the report otherwise?
Nothing exciting to report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yep. Any questions from committee members to Director Foreman?
Does this count dogs too?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I was just
It
wondering.
does if they're in front of you enough.
Yeah, that's a
Big
good
enough?
point.
When I'm running, yeah, if mine is in front of me, I notice it counts. If it's
If
beside
it's,
me, it
I guess if
doesn't.
there's enough of a separation,
Yeah, it
yeah.
has to be separation.
Okay. I wonder if it's, how big is your dog, is that a curiosity?
Probably about 50 pounds.
Yeah. I'll,
He has to be ahead of me or behind me.
okay.
So the ribbon cutting, we were watching, like, does it
Yeah.
count a stroller? Does it count a dog? Does it, you know?
Yeah,
It did not count
I
the
did
strollers.
notice that, yeah.
We will be adding a sign to encourage walkers to go kind of not side by side.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
okay.
go in front of it, yeah, so that way they both get counted. If they walk perfectly side by side at the same
it doesn't
time,
count.
it'll only count one
Yeah.
person. So we're gonna add a little sign just to, if they want to be counted, to make sure they go in single file line. Oh, you want to mention the plan?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Sure. We were excited to, last week, we had the South Carolina chapter of the American Planning Association had their meeting. They meet up to 2 times a year, spring and fall conferences. They had their spring conference, which is usually the smaller of the two, but we had about 86 attendees. We had initially intended to have the conference out in the pavilion, in the Farmers Market Pavilion, but Mother Nature had different ideas, so we had it in this very room. And I'm pleased to say that that 100 number that's in the occupancy was pretty close to being on point.
Was it edited just for that occasion?
No,
Because
well,
it looks
I
like
don't
it's
know. I
been
don't know. It wasn't there
tampered with.
before, and it's there now. So we held it under 100, though. We definitely held it under 100. But we had, it was, I think, a great conference. We had Mayor Amadon to welcome everyone, so we appreciate that. And then our very own Eric Vinson gave a presentation on the impacts of the Swamp Rabbit Trail on TR and how it's really impacted the city in such a positive way. So all in all, it was, in my opinion, was a great conference. We went off without any major hitches. I think, I like to think we put TR in a pretty good light statewide here
Great.
over the last week, so.
Very cool.
I do have 2 questions about the report, sorry. For the short-term rentals, out of the 31 people, is it mostly people coming to us and applying, or one of y'all looking at Airbnb or VRBO, searching for people who have listings?
Mostly the former. Yeah, mostly come to us.
And then Wethington Place, I haven't heard anything from citizens in a while. Have you guys heard any complaints or issues?
Yeah, we had a question, I guess, about a month and a half ago, I would
Yep.
say, that came up. They were just wondering about the landscaping and the wall in particular. So they're going to be, they will be addressing the landscaping issue at the end of their development cycle. So those trees will be going up hopefully pretty soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have an introduction to make?
Yes, and then last but not least, we do want to introduce our Furman intern for the summer. She graduated on Saturday with a degree in sustainability science. Yeah, so we're super excited to have her. Haley Hopkins, she'll be starting June 5th, and she'll be with us for about 6 weeks. So we're going to get her working on some good things like the comp plan, and we'll definitely keep her busy. So you'll be seeing her around here again starting in June, but she wanted to come by and just say hi to everyone.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Nice to meet you.
College students are looking younger and younger. Little side note. Nice to have you.
All right, anybody on the committee with additional questions for Mike or Eric?
Mike, I was going to ask you just one thing. So speaking of the trail counter, do we know, or how would we be able to know if there's certain grants we could apply by having that info? Because I know that Frank had talked about that. I don't know if that's done through the county or if it would be done through us, probably the county.
Yeah, it depends. If it's something that would impact the city, that was something we could partner with the county on, we'd certainly be open to doing that. And we have a pretty open discussion with Frank, with Bike Walk Greenville about whatever opportunities do arise. So yeah, if something comes up, the opportunity is there to partner.
That'd be good.
Cool. Anyone else? All right, look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
Thank you.
All right, for Ways and Means, this is just a reminder, we're not going to have our committee meeting tonight. We'll have it on Monday, May the 15th, and that's where we will review the 2023-2024 budget. Old business, we have none. New business, we have our mutual law enforcement aid agreement with Furman University. So do I hear a motion to move the agreement forward?
I make a motion to approve the mutual law enforcement aid agreement with Furman University and need a second on that.
Sure, second?
I
Do we have a
think
second?
Brandy's asking for a second, not making the second.
Yeah, I'm asking for a second. Someone have a
Second.
second?
I'll
Thank
second
you,
it.
Brantley. Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Yep.
And then Shanice?
I'm going to recruit myself from this vote.
Great. As Furman University is her employer, so we'll take that. Okay. Do we have any further discussion or questions? Lisa has our motion, Brantley has our second. All in favor? Okay. Motion carries. Thank you for that. All right, Eric, administrative update. Do you have anything?
Well, we had a couple of exciting events at the park this weekend, just to recap.
Yeah.
We had our first concert, we had a kite festival on Sunday, and the wind was actually too windy for kites, we found out. So there was a lot of loose kites on the loose around town. If you see random kites in trees and trees, it's because of the kite festival.
I
So
put the lead
we're
up
still
on.
cleaning up after that one.
Was
Yeah.
that like a rental
It
of
was
the
little,
pavilion?
it was little
Yeah, little
kites.
kites. Yeah, there was it was a private, well, it was a group that came to us that put that on, and it was open and free to the public, but I think you had to sign up and pay if you wanted. You got so many kites for like signing up and paying like an entry fee they gave you. But anyway, live and learn. Hopefully, that'll be something that we can continue and just kind of get a little bit better at. And then we did have a little issue at the park on, I think it was Sunday. Somebody backed into the pavilion and caused a little damage to the rooftop. So we'll, it was the organizer of the event. He's agreed to pay for that and have that repaired. So that was just, I think that's it for our update. Did you have anything, Amanda? Okay.
For the upcoming Browse and Stroll, can we also invite Evergreen to that?
We can. Well, we can certainly ask them. I mean, we'll
Yeah,
make
I
the
mean-
request and see if they would like to participate. And hopefully they will see it as a good opportunity to get
I
some
mean,
more
I think letting
customers.
them know of any event that's happening in the city where they could set up.
We would be
Because they
happy.
service like the whole county, right? We know not
They do.
everyone who's coming is
We'll-
residents. but-
We'll reach out them tomorrow and just make them aware of both the Browse and Stroll and the farmer's market opportunity. We'd have to coordinate with the farmer's market and see if they would allow, a free vendor booth, but I don't think that would be a problem for them to kind of have a free place to set up out there and just give out information and have a sign-up sheet. So, but yeah, we'll see if we can line that up and let them know. Be wonderful.
And then Sherry asking about the grants reminded me, have we looked into grants to help fund recycling in the city, for the city to help pay for citizens to have recycling if we could?
We have, there is a SCDAC grant, annual grant that we've been awarded in the past. And so we can apply for that again. And that goes towards a lot of educational, materials that we can give out at various events on, the benefits of recycling and what, how to recycle. In the past, we've used it to kind of expand our recycling in the public spaces up and down Main Street. And then we also used it for some educational outreach that we put forward at the farmer's market. And so we can certainly apply for that again and do a similar type grant application.
And on that note, as far as, I love the idea of us advertising that they'll be in town, or that they'll be in town if they're available. But for us to advertise that, I think would be really important, like to put it out there on our website or spread the word so that as people know that it's ending, that we're trying and we're giving options and have them involved also.
Definitely. And we can put that out there, as well to make sure that people know exactly if they want to continue the program, here's what they need to do. So there'll be some continual communications going out between now and the end of June, where we will make sure that we can get that word out about what people need to do if they'd like to continue their service.
Do we have a plan yet for picking up the recycling?
We do. We,
Okay.
as of Friday last week, Thursday, I believe afternoon, we were, I spoke with Greater Greenville. They agreed that they felt it would be best to go ahead and just pick up the blue recycling carts because of a lot of the unknowns about how they would be used. And so they've agreed to pick those up on the final service day. So we'll get the word out to everybody to roll their recycling carts out on the last service day of June, and Greater Greenville will collect those.
I wasn't sure if we needed to ask Wayne to borrow his truck, and him and Philip were gonna have to go pick up those recycling cans all over, so.
Those will, that was something that was kind of a lot of unknown around how those would be used.
Yeah.
And so, Greater Greenville had
Okay.
agreed. They didn't want to pick them up district-wide, but for us, since we're such a small part of their total customer base, they were perfectly fine with picking those up for us.
Why would we not allow our citizens to keep them if they just don't use them for recycling for Evergreen? I mean, because they did have on the tag that you could keep them, and I just think that would be very confusing to people.
Well, I mean, I believe the tag was confusing because it was intended for their district constituents, not intended for city residents, and they just included that tag by mistake. However, you know, there was a lot of concern that, you know, I began to think through this, that, you know, there would be people putting trash in recycle bins. There would be, and our city code only allows, unless, you have to get a special exception to have two trash carts. And so in effect, if we had two carts out there, you would have the potential for our provider to have to pick up multiple trash carts at each stop. And then, as far as people putting other items in a recycle bin that's labeled recycling, you know, from a public relations standpoint, that could be something that would be concerning as well if people began to use it for trash as opposed to recycling.
But it
So-
would be convenient for somebody who was going to collect their own recycling to take to the recycling center to have that available for them. So could we make any special exceptions or people to apply to keep it?
I would
for their
recommend
own
anybody
personal-
that doesn't want it to get picked up, don't roll it out to the curb. I don't believe that there will be a recycling enforcement effort put on underway, but
Okay.
I think we wanted to make sure that, you
I
know,
think
that.
what would happen,
I'll
well,
keep mine in my garage.
But
well, I was gonna say, I think it would be a hot mess. I think people be confused. They're gonna use it for a trash can.
Right.
And Greater Greenville's gonna try charging us for 2 trash cans, but our ordinance literally says you can have one. So I was just like, oof.
Right.
And some of us on council,
Inherited multiple trash cans.
it's messy, yeah.
Change, it's like just a pain to get rid of them, like they're bulky, unless you have a truck, you know.
Yeah.
You try to call
Just try to
them
keep
and
it
get them to
simple,
pick them
yeah.
up, and you have to call them 10 times to do that, you
Oh.
know, like, I think I would be delighted for them to take that. I probably have another one that's been left over from something
Spit it
else
out,
that I'm
yeah.
like,
I had a few little miscellaneous things. First of all, a second for Abe, because I saw him and David working Friday, and they were doing a great job together. If you have not checked out the bathrooms at Trailblazer Park, they did a great job decorating them. They have a theme. I thought it was really well done. I went in the guys' bathroom too to check it out too. It was pretty cool. So thank you for you guys making that a little bit, I don't know, fun and unique and having some color to it. And then for the farmers market, it was our grand opening on Saturday, and it was a crazy amount of people that were there. And so they had past board members and just kind of celebrated the 15-year anniversary of the farmers market. There was a great shout out to Brantley's mom, who was one of the original founders and kind of made everything happen. So it was just a really, really good event. Kelly and I were both there. And then the music series Saturday night was also, I always have this fear like, will people show up? So I came Saturday night and it was packed. I mean, there must have been like another 1,000 people there. So it was really, really great. So appreciate Beth putting all that together, and she comes every time to make sure everything runs smoothly too. So I'm giving out 2 proclamations. Well, I gave out one today for at lunch, but just to let you guys know, for Springbrook Behavioral Center, I went there, and actually I think they're our largest employer in Travelers Rest, and we forget about them. So they have 300 employees, and it's Nurses Week. So I went and gave a proclamation, and we were able to list about 50 of their nurses that are there on a regular basis and met doctors. And it was just a really great event to kind of celebrate them. And then tonight I'm going to the high school for the Northwest Middle School choir that won a big award at Dollywood, and so we're going to go celebrate them. So a lot of cool things going on in Travelers Rest that we're representing, which is great. So.
I would also like to just put a plug that Foothills Family Resources Food Pantry is dangerously low on food, and 90% of the people they serve live in 29690. So I'm happy to send you all a list of what they need, but talk to your churches, schools, neighborhoods, anyone. They could really use whatever you can donate.
Where do they drop that off at?
I'm happy to pick it up and deliver.
Oh, look at you. Councilmember Byers will come to your door.
One
With
arm.
one arm.
I
Impressive.
delivered it like an hour after my surgery, like, here's yours. Thank you.
No, they do really great things up there. All right, anybody else have anything else for the good of council? All right, motion to adjourn. Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you, and thank you for our guests for coming. We appreciate it. I should clarify, I was driven to take the donation. Brantley, did you know that they were?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I wish I could have been there.
Yeah, they did a great job. I